Okay. Chris, ready to go. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching it on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants are automatically muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members are participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. For all those who are waiting online, please ensure that you have called in with the phone number that you originally registered with. If you call in with a different number, you will not be able to speak on that item. To ensure audio clarity, I strongly suggest that you do not use the speakerphone function on your telephones. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto was covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Alan Smithies, and I will chair today's meeting. Joining us on the panel today are Ron Hunt, Asif Khan, Paul Kidd, and Natini Sankar Peralta. City staff are also present: Simon Lamb, Adam Wills, Giovanna Rizzo, Chris Pereira, Emily Greco, Alex Chu, and Kelly Reed. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to property, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone attending today who wants to receive a copy of the committee's decision must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, it may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the committee's decision. The hearing procedure is as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if desired. If the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak on that item. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, is given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5-minute limit. When addressing the committee, please state clearly your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters described in the application. The applicant or agent proceeds first and will make their presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. To ensure that a revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes, the committee may decide to defer the application if it is substantially revised. Then individuals, either in support or opposed to the application, are invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the previous speakers. This marks the end of discussion on the item. The application is then taken into committee for a decision. I understand, Mr. Secretary Treasurer, that we have no minutes to confirm.
No
And there are no files to close. Correct, thank you. Does the committee have does the committee members have any conflicts of interest they'd like to declare? None? Thank you very much. We'll now proceed. We have a number of deferral requests, and we'll start our agenda off with those first. The first item requesting a deferral is item number 1, which is 111 Pemberton Avenue. Let me just find out who we have to speak here. I have the agent, an Ali Yi, Y-I. Are you there, sir? Or madam?
Yeah, yes, I'm here.
Yes, hello. Can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Ali Yi. My address is.
Hang on. We're getting feedback on your. You make sure that you've turned off all your. You're just speaking into your telephone. All your other electronic devices are turned off. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Ali Yi. Address is 245 French Avenue West.
Okay, thank you, madam. Before you start, I just wanted to make you aware of a couple of items here. We have some comments on your file from Urban Forestry. There were recommended conditions. There's a report from Development Engineering dated the 25th of February. They had no objections to your application, subject to standard consent conditions, but there was a report from City Planning dated the 6th of April, and they're recommending that your application be refused. So I understand that you're asking for a deferral. Could you give the committee the reason for the deferral, please?
Yes, the way required for the deferral.
So you'd like to meet with City Planning about the recommended refusal?
Yes, my client require for different hearing, and will be meeting with city staff to discuss the detail.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next. We had another person registered to speak. I'll just ask how they feel about a deferral. I have an Igor Kolodkin or Hasina Lukman. Are you there?
All our contacts in one place, right?
Yes.
So how would all this work together is really what we're trying to understand. And Chris and Ming, please feel free to interrupt.
Excuse, can I get your full name and address, please?
So that's kind of what we're trying to get.
Okay, do you have an objection to the deferral request by the applicant?
Mr. Chair, it appears she's on another call.
Can you just?
I'm sorry, can you state your name and address again, please?
So it's Igor Kolodkin, and it's 109 Pemberton Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Do you have an objection to the applicant's request for a deferral?
Deferral means it's going to be deferred for how long? Can I clarify?
Pardon me, can you repeat that, please?
What does deferral means in this case?
The purpose of the deferral is they have to revise their application. They have to meet with city planning, and after that's been done, they will file a new application. It will be circulated again to the community.
Yes, I have no objection to the deferral.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, can I get a motion on the deferral request, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the request of the applicant to defer in order to speak to the planning department about some issues that appear to be outstanding, I would recommend deferral of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds that. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been deferred to the next available meeting so that you can meet with the city planning with regard to your application. I also suggest that you meet with the surrounding community as well. Thank you very much. We'll proceed to the next deferral request on our list. I have item number 15, 223 ARMOUR Avenue. And I have the agent, Ida Evangelista. Are you there, madam?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Yes, hi, Miss Evangelista.
Good.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask, I went through your file. I noticed that there's a number of, before you start, there's a number of staff reports on file with your application. There is a report from Urban Forestry recommending refusal due to the removal of 4 city-owned crabapple trees and a Norway maple tree. There's a report from Transportation Services recommending refusal, and there's a report from City Planning, which is also requesting a deferral. So I understand you're asking for a deferral. If you could just give us the reasons for that.
All the reasons that you just mentioned. My apologies. The reason why we are asking for a deferral is when we received the variances, it was quite a long list, and we are currently now working with planning. We're trying to address transportation, forestry comments, so that when we do come back in front of the committee, we have a solid plan.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Just to allow us some more time.
Okay, thank you. I'll just ask the committee. Does the committee have any? Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we have a number of people on the list who have registered to speak. I have to get their views on the deferral. I have a Jessica Cremasco. Are you there? Jessica Cremasco, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, madam, you've heard the request for a deferral. Do you object to a deferral?
No.
Okay, thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Next person on the list, I have a Clary Sharaski. Are you there? Clary Sharaski, are you there? One more time, Clary Suraski, are you there?
Claire, if you can stop muting and unmuting, staff will take care of that for you.
We'll come back to her. I have a Etta Schmidt Suraski, are you there? Oh, I'm sorry, I'll go back. Clary Suraski, are you there?
Hi there.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Claire Saraski, 225 Armour Boulevard.
Okay, thank you, madam. Do you have any objections to a deferral?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. I have an Etta Schmidt Suraski. Are you there? Etta,
Yes, I'm here.
yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Etta Schmidt-Saraski, 225 Armour Boulevard.
Thank you, madam. Do you have an objections to a deferral?
So we will be notified again when a new plan is proposed. Is that correct?
That's right. It will be recirculated to the neighborhood.
Okay, unless there's substantial changes, I would still object. But yes, I don't, like if there's a deferral, that's fine.
Okay, thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, go to the next person on the list. I have a Laura Bernstein. Are you there? Laura Bernstein, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Bernstein, we can hear you. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Laura Bernstein, 226 Armour Boulevard.
Thank you, madam. Do you have any objections to this, to deferring the application?
No objection.
Okay, thank you very much, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Thank you, madam. Next person on the list, Philip or Jennifer Taylor?
Mr. Chair, we don't have a Philip or Jennifer on the call.
One more time. Philip or Jennifer Taylor? Not there. I'll take them off the list. Next person on the list, Terry Mueller. Are you there? Terry Mueller, are you there?
Mr. Chair, we don't have a Terry on the call.
Thank you, Mr. Pereira. Next person on the list, Aaron Eisen. Are you there? Aaron Eisen, are you there?
Aaron, you are unmuted. You're able to speak now.
Aaron Eisen, are you there? Mr. Eisen, are you there? I'll move to the next person on the list. Jesse Ryder or Nicola Lysis. Are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Jesse Ryder, 229 ARMOUR Boulevard.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any objections to deferring the application?
No objections to deferral.
Okay, thank you. Next person on the list, Meta Shore. Are you there?
Okay.
Hello? Meta
Yes.
Shore?
Yes.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Meta Shore, 20 Rayburn Avenue.
Thank you, madam. Do you have any objections to a deferral?
I do not have an objection to a
Okay,
referral.
thank you. Any questions of the speaker? Next person on the list, Brooke Hollander or Diane Alperin? Brooke Hollander or Diane Alperin?
Hi, yes.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Brooke Hollander, 21 Rayburn Avenue.
Thank you, madam. Do you have any objections to a deferral?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, we'll go to the next person on the list, Jeff or Leslie Morrison.
Hello.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
My name is Jeff Morrison, 22 Rayburn Avenue.
Thank you, sir. Do you have an objection to a deferral?
I do not have an objection to a deferral. I would just like it noted how many people have come on the line from the neighborhood that have concerns with this issue. So I would hope the applicant would be able to revise their plans accordingly.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, if I could get a motion on the deferral application, please. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to put forward a motion to defer the application sine die to allow the applicant to work with city staff to revise their application.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Ms. Evangelista, your application has been unanimously deferred to the next available meeting so that you can meet with city planning and city transportation. And I also strongly suggest that you meet with the area residents as well. Thank you very much, madam. Go to the next deferral request. We have item number 18, 353 Rainey Avenue. And I have the agent and Enrique Valencia. Are you there? Enrique Valencia, are you there?
Hi, good morning, Mr. Chair. How are you?
Yes, hello, thank you. I understand you're asking for a deferral. Can I get the reason for that deferral?
Yes, it was a zoning error. The examiner missed a variance, and he basically informed us the day that the letters went out.
Okay, thank you very much.
So everything needs to get recirculated. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll just ask, we have another couple of people registered to speak. I need to get their views on this. I'll just ask, does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Joseph DeAngelis. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir. Do you have an objection to the applicant's request for a deferral?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Maria Valvassari. Are you there? Maria Valvassari?
Yes,
Yes, madam, can I get your full name and address, please?
Maria Valvassari, 24 Sparrow Avenue, North York.
Thank you, madam. Do you have an objection to a deferral?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Could I get a motion on the deferral application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the request by the applicant and the concurrence of the balance of the speakers, I would move a deferral sine die to the next available meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been deferred to the next available meeting so that you can correct your notice. Good luck, sir. We are now on another deferral request. That is item number, that's this afternoon's. No, that's all of them for this morning. We'll now go back to our regular agenda. We are now on item number 2, 21 King High Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That is Glenn Rubinoff. Mr. Rubinoff, are you there?
It's Glenn Rubinoff.
Yes, Mr. Rubinoff. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Glenn Rubinoff, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just before we start, I wanted to note that there is a report from Development Engineering dated the 14th of December. They have no objections to your application subject to standard consent conditions. We have a report from City Planning dated the 6th of April. There's actually 3 reports. They have no objections to your consent application subject to standard consent conditions. With respect to Part 1, proposed Part 1, staff is recommending that you develop the proposals substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, attached as Attachment 1 to their report. With respect to Part 2, which is 21B King High Avenue, staff is recommending that you develop the proposal substantially in accordance with the site plan, right side and left side elevation drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, attached as Attachments 1, 2, and 3 to their report. So what we have no other persons registered to speak, sir. I would ask that you perhaps give the committee a brief presentation on what you're proposing, specifically with respect to the issue of the tree. The City Forestry has recommended your application be refused due to the possible removal of a private Colorado blue spruce tree. So if you'd like to give the committee a brief overview of your proposal, sir, and then how you propose to address the tree issue.
Sure, thank you very much. So just to summarize really, just generally, this is a very irregular lot. It's kind of a triangle, comes to the corner intersection of King High and Allingham Gardens. And, planning has reviewed it and had no concerns with it. The counselor also wrote a letter in as well. And we also have several neighbors who've also written support letters as well on this. With regards to the blue spruce, we have no intention to remove the blue spruce. It's in the corner of the, right at the tip of the property, and it's a private tree. And it's something that, I'm not sure why they're requesting refusal of the application over something that they say may be an issue or not. Of course, we have a condition of forestry, which we would be speaking with them. We've already retained an arborist in this matter, and our intention is to preserve whatever we can. In fact, based on the site plan, we preserved all the trees on the property pretty much where we, basically worked around to preserve as many of the trees as possible. I don't think we actually have any other removals. It's just we try to tuck in the new house in a way that has minimal impact on the environment there. So I feel that this application, in consideration of the efforts we've made to kind of work with a very irregular lot, I feel that it does meet the 4 tests and that it does satisfy, the redevelopment of the site in a way that preserves the existing house with a small addition, but also provides for a new dwelling on the property. So I think it's a sensitive approach to a complex site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rubinoff. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, on these applications, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I think in review of the numbers of letters of support, as well as from the counselor and the explanations provided by the applicant here today, I'll put forward a motion to approve this application, and I will make it subject to the standard conditions of the staff report that is dated April 6th, as well as the conditions that thereof for engineering dated December 14, 2021. And in addition, I know that there are plans with respect to forestry, and so I will still make it subject to forestry, but I'm sure that the applicant will be able to get his points across to satisfy forestry conditions. Okay, so that's my motion.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second Ms. Sankar's motion? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rubinoff, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry, city planning, and development engineering conditions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now on to item number 3977 Glencairn. I have one person registered to speak. That is Jonathan Benkowski. Are you there, sir?
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, sir. Could I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, Jonathan Minskowski, 301 Keewatin Avenue.
Great, thank you, sir. I notice on your application going through your the file that we have no staff comments or recommended conditions. I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for in the variances that are before us. I'll just ask though, sir, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this morning?
I could give you a brief overview because there are 2 delegated consent applications for consideration this afternoon that are linked to this application. Now, that delegated consent is one owner essentially owns both 977 as well as 1. One is under a corporation and one is under a personal name. So essentially what's happening is the ownership will remain as it is. There are some right-of-ways that are being granted to allow access to the proposed dwelling, which is the application number after this. So I'm happy to provide an overview of that if the committee wishes.
I think that might be, because it does concern a right-of-way, you may want to describe that to the committee and give us a brief presentation.
Absolutely. So could we bring up the survey right there?
Okay, just before we start there, sir, I think we can deal with 977 and 981 Glencairn together. We have no other persons registered to speak. And I note that the only conditions we have from staff with respect to 981 Glencairn is with regards to an urban forestry condition. So if you'd like to just give the committee a brief presentation as it relates to the right-of-way issue and those 2 applications which we can deal with together.
Yes, so I have no issue with the forestry condition for 981. If we could just zoom a portion between the 2 houses. So as the property is organized right now, there presently is a right-of-way that is granted over the 2 buildings today. So the way it works today is 977 is granting right-of-way access between the 2 properties in favor of 981. What we have proposed is to eliminate that right-of-way to allow for a larger house to be built on 981. What that then creates is a series of right-of-ways to allow access for 977 to access the rear garage that exists. So 977, as it exists today, the dwelling in the garage does not change. 981 is where the new house is proposed, which again is taking some of the existing land from number 977 to allow for a larger frontage. And then again, the associated right-of-ways are then to allow access to the rear portion for vehicular traffic for 977.
Okay, thank you. I think it's pretty clear what you're asking for in the 2 variances that we have before us today. I'll just ask the committee, does the committee have any questions of the speaker?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Khan?
Thank you, sir. My question is very simple. How old is the ancillary structure?
I assume it is built with the existing dwelling. We do have an old survey that identifies. Again, there is no change to that ancillary structure at the rear. That's what's there today and what has existed on the since construction of the dwelling itself.
Was it built under the same owner who is owner today, or it was a previous owner?
I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
My
Mr. Khan?
second question, sir, my second question is there is not enough details submitted by you about the ancillary structure.
The ancillary structure is permitted. There's no violation towards it. That's what exists today that has access from the right-of-way between the 2 dwellings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll deal with 977 Glencairn Avenue first because it has no recommended conditions attached to it. Could I get a motion on the on this application, please? Oh, Mr. Hunt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having heard the applicant's explanation of the relationship between 977 and 981, I would move approval of the application at 977 Glencairn Avenue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application's been for 977 Glencairn has been approved without condition. We'll now deal with, if I could get a motion on 981 Glencairn Avenue. Please note that the only staff condition with respect to this application is from urban forestry. So if I could get a motion, please. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the proposals meets the 4 tests for minor variance, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application subject to forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application at 981 Glencairn Avenue has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are now on item number 5, which is 6 Oxbow Road. I have 2 people registered to speak. The agent is Lauren Rose. Are you there, sir?
Hello?
Mr. Rose, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
Rose, 388 Spadina Road.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have one other person registered to speak, so if you'd like to give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal. I note that the only condition we have on file from staff relates to urban forestry condition.
Right. So I don't know who's speaking, but I know there's one letter of objection, and I assume it might be that person. His concern is the shed in the back corner. If staff will put up the site plan. It's a little bit of a unique site. It's triangulated and curved. So you can see that we're leaving the existing pool, and there's a shed. We're needing to legalize that. We're not changing its location. So that's what the letter of objection is. I can take you through the variances if you'd like, or I could just wait and hear what the objector has to say. Or I don't even know if he's an objector. He might be support.
Well, I think you should just give us an overview of the project, sir, and then,
Okay.
And then go on with respect
Sure.
to the issue with the shed.
Okay. It's a new 2-story dwelling. The front setback is a variance due to the fact that it's on a curve, and we're trying to preserve this pool. We also would basically have no backyard if we complied with the 12 meters. So we don't think the adjacent neighbors have any objection to that. We're slightly over in coverage, but that's because the terrace is excavated and covered. So we're 26.6% as opposed to 25%. Maximum height, we're allowed 11.5, but we are asking for 12.21, which is not uncommon in the area. The width of the stairs, I don't think that's ever a big issue, is a variance. The platform on the second floor is a little larger. It's above the 1-story part. And then you have the number 6 and number 8 are due to the pool shed, and they're about it's about the pool shed. Frontage. They're all about the shed, the rest. And then there's the old bylaw height of first floor, but we're up on a hill and the road is quite low. So I can answer any questions, and then I can speak to the concerns of the person who's about to speak.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Kidd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rosa, I'm curious that I take it the shed is existing, and if so, how long has it been there? Is it further?
It is existing. I have no clue. I know it was there when my client bought the house, so I have no way of telling. So my guess is it wasn't legalized when it was built. So part of this application will be to legalize. It's just for the pool equipment. That's what's there now.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
We'll go on to the next person on the list. We have Pulin Chandaria. Are you there?
Mr. Chair, this person is not on the call.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. We have no persons registered to speak, or the person who was there is no longer there. Does the staff have any further comments of the speaker, or any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I accept the explanations provided by the agent here today, and in light of no other objections that have come in and his explanations provided earlier on, I'll motion to approve this application, and I'll make it subject to forestry.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. Sir, your application's been approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now on item number 6, 40 Park Hill Road. I have seven people registered to speak. The agent is Ty Rook. Are you there?
Morning, sir. It's Tay Rook.
Yes, hi. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Sure, it's Tay Rook, 135 Rikert.
Okay, thank you. Before we start, sir, I just note that there is recommended, looking at your file and number of staff reports here, there's a recommended condition from Urban Forestry. There's a report from City Planning dated the 28th of March of this year. They have no objections to your application, provided that the property is developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the committee as attached as attachment number 1 to their report. Transportation Services has a report dated the April 7th of this year, and they have no objections to the proposed driveway width. So I just asked, sir, have you had the opportunity to review those reports?
Yes, we have, and we have no concerns with any of the conditions imposed.
Okay, thank you. In view of the fact that we have persons registered to speak, sir, if you'd like to give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Sure, sir. What's before you today is to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling. There are variances related to building length, building depth, side yard setbacks, FSI, the front porch setback, the platform on the south side of the lot, and also the stairs related to the south side, and eaves projection, and the driveway width. With regards to the building length and building depth variance, I note it, if you could go to the presentation slides that I provided, basically what this is because there's a deck at the rear yard, and underneath that, if you go to the next, to the 4th slide, I believe, because the deck is excavated, technically it gets calculated as building length and building depth, but the building itself, in principle, the 2-story element is within the, is approximately 17 meters. So that's why, so it's not a 2-story dwelling that extends 21.26 meters in entire length and depth. So it's somewhat of a technical variance. If the deck was not excavated, it would look exactly the same, and you just wouldn't have this variance for 21.26 meters for length and depth. With regards to the north side yard setback, you'll note that there is a dotted line on the site plan that represents the existing building, and on the north, which is the top of the site plan, the existing side yard setback and then the proposed side yard setback are pretty much consistent with what's existing there today. And what you find in this neighborhood is the side yard setbacks within this area is one in which where it does not is not complied with on either one side or on both sides of the properties within this area. And what you find is that we're just trying to maintain the existing side yard setback that's already there today. And you'll also note on the south side yard, which is at the bottom, the existing house is actually closer to the lot line on the south side, and the proposal seeks to push the building back further. You'll note that there's a green highlighted area on the south side at the bottom. that represents the stairs that leads into the platform that leads into the side yard door on the south side. And the reason for this, and if you could go to the side elevation, the grade from Park Hill Road towards the rear lot of the property drops down significantly. And as a result of that, there's no way of getting into the side door without having a platform or stairs leading into that side door. And that's why you have the 0-meter side yard setback variance for the platform and the stairs. In addition, what you find is that this building itself is under the height requirements of 11 meters. The proposal is at 10 meters. And what we find is that this is not a significant proposal in terms of massing or development, overdevelopment of the site. It is a reasonable proposal. There's an existing driveway width we're maintaining, and transportation, as noted before, has no issues with this. There's also a projection for ease, like I said, on the north side yard. But once again, we're maintaining the existing side yard on the north side, with addition to a front porch, which would add character and aesthetic to the streetscape and puts eyes on the street. And there is a porch setback related variance related to the porch as well. Overall, this is a very modest proposal. It is a proposal that is keeping with the neighborhood, and it is something that will enhance the streetscape and meets the 4 tests. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on our list. I have a Tamara Solersh. Are you there? Tamara Solersh, are you there? Tamara Solersh, are you there?
Yes.
Can I get your full name and address, please? Madam, can I get your full name and address?
Mr. Chair and members, the area right pair keeps muting and unmuting themselves. Tamara, if you could just leave the muting and unmuting to the city staff, we'll handle that for you. Thank you.
Ms. Solersh, are you there?
Yes.
Can I get your full name and address, please?
Tamara Solersh, 122 Whitmore Avenue.
Thank you, madam. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
So I have a few concerns with this property. Firstly, we think it's great that they're building this home and putting the investment into this property, which is very positive. We built our home here 7 years ago, so understand the importance of that. The big concern that we have is that we have a unique situation with the backyards in this area where you have a ton of green space because a lot of the fences are low so you can see trees, and the properties don't go far back enough that you can't see houses, you see trees and you see backyards. What they're proposing in the length of this house, essentially a lot of the neighbors will be looking at a wall, essentially, because of how far back this house is going. It doesn't affect us as much, but we will still see the house goes far back enough that we will clearly be able to see the back of their house. So that's definitely a concern. When we were building our house, we were very sensitive to our neighbors and obviously managed to keep our house under 50 feet. So I'm not sure why this house needs to go as far back as it does. As well, the way the basement looks on plans is also concerning because the basement's above ground, making the house even longer. So those are our concerns.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll move to the next person on the list. I have a Michael Slan. Are you there? Michael Slan, S-L-A-N. Are you there?
I am.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Michael Sland, 47 Fairley Crescent.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
I'm supportive of the application. I think it's going to enhance the neighborhood. I think that it's in keeping with other new builds in the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Heather Brody, B-R-O-D-I-E. Are you there, madam? Heather Brody, are you there? Heather Brody, are you there?
Heather, you have been unmuted. You're able to speak now.
Heather Brody, are you there? Ms. Brody, you're unmuted. You can speak. We'll come back to you. I have Matthew Helfand. Are you there? Matthew Helfand.
I am here, Mr. Chair. Are you able to hear me?
Thank you. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Certainly. My name is Matthew Helfand, and my address is 181 Bay Street.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
Thank you very much. I'm here on behalf of Miss Andrea Skinner as her agent. Miss Skinner did submit a letter, which I would ask the technician to please pull up on screen, as I'll be referring to a few images attached to that letter. Ms. Skinner and her family object to the proposed variances, and I'm here on their behalf to ask that all the variances be refused on the basis that they do not meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act. For context, my client's property, Ms. Skinner's property, is located at 118 Whitmore, and 40 Park Hill Road and Ms. Skinner's property have adjoining backyards. I would ask the chair to turn to attachment 1 of Ms. Skinner's letter, and you can see the relationship between the two properties. What you can see from the image and attachment 1, and I'll ask the technician to please scroll down to the first attachment right there, is there's a few things you can see. The one, and a speaker already referenced this, is that all the properties on this block that are bound by Fairley, Park Hill, and Whitmore have adjoining backyards. And you'll also see a very consistent pattern of building lengths and rear yard open space. So much so is that if you were actually standing on Fairley looking south, you could hypothetically see Miss Skinner's property all the way down because of the consistent building length. There's no interruption in terms of building mass. You have rear yard open space. Now, I would ask the technician to please scroll down 1 image further, and you'll now see the interface between my client's backyard and the subject property immediately adjacent. This photo is taken from Ms. Skinner's balcony, looking at the rear yard amenity space. Now, if you could scroll down 1 page further, you'll see our rendition of the interface and what it will look like after the proposal. This is not entirely to scale, but it is fairly accurate. The building will be set back less than 1 meter from Ms. Skinner's property. The red represents the main side wall of the building. The orange is the proposed side deck, the proposed rear deck, which is above the walkout basement, and the yellow is the stairs. I entirely disagree with the applicant's agent's suggestion that this is a technical variance in length, because you can see here, this is one of significant impact. This is not a technical variance owing to some idiosyncrasy of the property. This is a variance with significant impact. The proposal is extremely problematic for Ms. Skinner and her family. And I'll ask you to turn to the final page, Mr. Technician, as I discuss these issues. If you could scroll down, the first is the privacy issue. The proposed platform will be 2.1 meters high, and a person standing on that platform will, of course be much taller. And they will be looking directly into Ms. Skinner's rear yard, exactly where her children play and where she enjoys her backyard. This creates a severe and inevitable privacy impact that can't be appropriately mitigated even if Ms. Skinner erected a fence. The City of Toronto fence bylaw permits a maximum fence height of 2 meters. So my client couldn't build a fence that would even go to the bottom of this new patio. She would have to actually apply for a fence variance just to maintain the status quo of privacy. The second significant issue is general massing impacts. As I pointed out before, this is an area where there is considerable open space and consistent rear walls. We now have a building mass that's introduced so close to Ms. Skinner's rear yard that her rear yard will be veritably closed in by this proposal. This interrupts airflow, sunlight, and a comfortable atmosphere for her kids to play. These are all genuine land use planning concerns. Therefore, even if the committee were to impose a privacy screen on the balcony to attempt to protect the privacy in Ms. Skinner's backyard, it would just create a greater and exacerbate the massing impact and create an even larger wall that just effectively blocks in the entire backyard of Ms. Skinner so close to her property. Finally, in terms of impact, I point out that the basement excavation is proposed to occur well within the tree protection zone of a private tree on my client's property and is likely to cause significant injury or death to the tree. So for these reasons, I request that the application be refused on the basis that it's not minor or desirable. It has significant adverse impacts on Ms. Skinner's property. It fails to meet the OP policy, particularly with respect to neighborhood character and built form and open space and privacy. And it does not maintain the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw on account of the inappropriate built form relationship that is created by virtue of the length and depth of variances. That was my summary. Those are my concluding remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go to the next. We'll go back to Ms. Heather Brody. Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Brody, are you there?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you give us your full name
Excellent.
and address, please?
Heather Brody, 116 Whitmore Avenue.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
Yes, many of my thoughts have been mirrored by other speakers already, but I do want to echo that I am quite pleased that the applicants are developing this property. I think it will be a definite plus for the neighborhood. That said, I do have some concerns, as were outlined in my email. The length of the house, I think, is a little bit overreaching as far as what fits in with the neighborhood, even the redeveloped parts of the neighborhood. The raised basement wall adding to the length of the house, I don't think is as much of a throwaway as was indicated, because it does make the entirety of the house longer. If that basement, my understanding, it comes up about 7 feet above ground, and the deck being built on top of that is effectively extending that big brick wall. The south side of the property, while it was pointed out that the house is being brought back a little bit from where it currently sits, the closeness to my property line only extends through my garage, essentially. But now with this, the way it's being proposed now, it will extend not only through the entirety of my backyard, but halfway through Andrea Skinner's backyard at 118. And even a 2-meter fence isn't going to help me from staring at a massive brick wall versus the open green space. And while I understand that I'm not entitled to a view in perpetuity, I do think it's a major disruption of the character of this neighborhood, where we do have this open community type green space that we all enjoy. I think there's as many as 23 houses that enjoy this corridor of green space. I think that pretty much summarizes my views. I think if they were to perhaps shorten the house a little bit, it would be a lot more palatable for the neighborhood. I'll speak for myself, certainly for me, because while I'm going to be faced with a large brick wall no matter what, I might have an opportunity to see past it, whereas now I don't think I'll be able to.
Okay, thank you, madam.
So,
does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Peter Glazer. Are you there, sir?
Mr. Chair, Peter Glazer is not on the call.
Pardon me?
Peter Glazer is not on the call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Last person on the list, I have Amanda Miller. Amanda Miller, are you there?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, can I get your full name and address, madam?
Yes, my name is Amanda Miller, and I live at 32 Park Hill Road.
Thank you. If you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chair and the committee members. I am speaking in support of the application for this build. I have lived in the neighborhood for close to 17 years. I'm also a real estate agent that has sold and purchased on behalf of my clients several properties in the neighborhood, including 40 Park Hill Road. And I feel that given the designs of this property, that they do go within what we are seeing in the neighborhood. Currently, the property that is there, it can only get better. I don't know if everyone who has reviewed the plans understand that there is a slope at the bottom from where the house currently is, and that what everyone's talking about, I don't necessarily think it's going to block the views as much as what people are saying, because there is a bit of a hill. I do tend to agree with Mr. and Mrs. Heyman's planner who spoke previously. I think that this build will be an asset to the neighborhood, and I think that, we should support this build because it is a good property. There is an abandoned house on it, and it can only help the neighborhood and hopefully the community. In terms of the green space, I think it's an interesting area where some people have chosen not to put fences other than the chain link fences. As somebody who has my own pets, one being a very large dog, I would think that would, be jumping through there. But I do think that it should be supported and passed.
Okay, thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, we'll go back to the agent. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Yes, you've heard the comments from the previous speaker, sir, if you'd like to reply to them.
Sure, there's a lot to go through, so I'll try to be as efficient as possible. So there were discussions with regards to the backyards and green space and how this is a unique characteristic of this neighborhood or a block. But the fact of the matter is that anybody or any neighbor or my client at any given time could erect a 6-foot fence, board-on-board fence, and that is permitted, and that's their right to do so. It just happens that this happens to be the current existing circumstance, and you'll also note that there isn't a landscape variance required for this proposal at all for the rear yard or the front yard of this property. With regards to the views that was described that you can see from Ms. Skinner's property at 118 all the way north or the entire length of the block, the fact of the matter is that there isn't the right to views. And the schematic drawing that was provided and that was drawn in the letter, I'm not quite sure how accurate that is. And it was also indicated by the agent itself, Mr. Helfand, that it was a schematic. So I'm not quite sure how accurate and how representative it is. I couldn't tell you. There was no measurements. It wasn't prepared by an architect. But what I can tell you at the end of the day is that we have an excavated deck underneath. And regardless whether or not it's excavated or unexcavated, if it was unexcavated, it would look exactly the same and it wouldn't have a building length and building depth variance. And that is the technical aspect of this variance that's being sought. And that is what has been recognized by the planning department as being technical. And that's why they supported this application, albeit that it has to be substantially in accordance with the site plan that was submitted. With regards to the platform itself, or the stairs leading into the side door, once again, there is a grade difference, and as it's shown on the side elevation, where the grade from Park Hill Road drops significantly down towards the rear lot line of this property. As a result of that, this proposal doesn't have an elevated first floor. If you look at it, if you were to view it from Park Hill Road, it's at grade on Park Hill Road towards Park Hill Road frontage, so it's not an elevated first floor. This is only caused by the natural grade of the property, and we're just trying to get into the side door. My clients just need to get access into the side door, and you'll note that the element related to the side stairs is we try to make it as minimal in terms of impact as possible. And you'll also note once again that the south wall of the proposed dwelling has been set back further than the existing dwelling itself. So once again, if you look at the front elevation of this proposal, the door towards Park Hill, the front door at Park Hill Road is pretty much at grade. And once again, the overall height requirements within this area is 11 meters, and the proposal is at 10 meters. So we were very cognizant about the massing or intrusiveness that this may cause if it was an 11-meter height. And this was done purposely to ensure that the impacts associated with this application was mitigated or minimized as much as possible to the adjacent neighbors and to the adjacent rear yards. In terms of sunlight, airflow, privacy, this is somewhat of a tightly knit neighborhood where the side yards are somewhat reduced. And this situation of rear yards facing into the side yards of my client's subject property is something that's typically found throughout the city of Toronto and throughout this neighborhood. Yes, sir. I'll wrap up as quickly as yes, sir. And this is once again.
Sir,
yes, sir.
Can you, I've been notified that Mr. Glazer, one of the speakers, would like to speak on this application. So I'm going to interrupt you only so that he can make his presentation and you can reply again to his comments.
Sure.
So I'll
no problem.
let him go. Mr. Glazer, are you there? Peter Glazer, are you there?
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can I get your full name and address?
Peter Glazer, are you there?
Sir, you have to...
Yeah, my name is... Yeah, okay, good. Can you hear me now? My name is Peter Glazer.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Peter Glazer, 42 Park Hill Road.
Okay, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application?
Yes, I would. Just one moment. Let me close that, and I need the file. No, I need the file. Okay, 1 second, just because we're on audio, and I'm just going to close this up. I apologize.
Sir, just one person.
I'm right here, starting right.
Just one person right here. Speaking at a time here, sir.
Yes, so I'm speaking right now. I really apologize for that. So I'm Peter Glazer. My wife Micha and I are the neighbors directly to the north of the applicant's proposed build. We have lived and raised a family here for the last 18 years. We support the idea of a new build, but specifically object to 2 of the proposed 9 variances, the north side yard setback and the length. We had some conversations with the applicants regarding the plans and how they would impact us. We made some suggestions and were open to compromise. While these conversations were cordial and respectful, the applicants were not willing to make any changes to their proposed drawings. Regarding the north side variance, we're not sure why it is necessary for them to move their dwelling closer to ours. Contrary to the applicant's agent, they will be moving their dwelling closer to ours than it currently is. The walkway between the 2 houses is already narrow and just under 4 feet. They are proposing to reduce this further. You can refer to pictures 1, 2, and 3 in the pictures that I've included, showing the narrowness of the walkway. In addition, our dryer vent is on the south wall, and access via this walkway will make it more challenging to service. There's the picture with the brick wall that you can see, and how sort of challenging that would be for a second floor dryer vent. The applicants are moving their walkway. The applicants are also moving their walkway to the south side, which is contrary to all the houses on the block. All the houses on the block have their walkways on the north side. We have no objections or qualms with them moving their walkway to whichever side they choose. We do object to them moving their dwelling 1 foot closer to the property line than the zoning bylaw allows. In 2010, we made a decision to invest in a rooftop solar hot water system. Moving their dwelling 1 foot closer than allowed will reduce the amount of sunlight received, especially in the late fall and winter months. Allowing this variance would negatively impact us and the precedent may deter others from similar decisions and investments. Another concern is the tall eastern cedar on our property. We wanted to ensure the committee is aware of this tree because of its significance and because it was omitted from the applicant's tree inventory pictures, and it is not correctly indicated on their site plan. It is located approximately 4 feet 7 inches from the rear southwest corner of our dwelling and ends 1 or 2 inches from the property line. Their submitted site plan has the nearest tree approximately 11 to 12 feet from the end of our dwelling. Because of this discrepancy, we hired an independent arborist that measured and situated the tree correctly and concluded, and the arborist report is attached as well, and concluded that allowing the proposed variances to to proceed, the variance of the proposed plan were to proceed, this tree would not survive and recommends its removal. The arborist also recommended some modifications that could be considered if the intent was to save the tree. We would hope that the applicants would consider modifying their plans that would ensure the survival of this tree. The other variance of great concern to us is the proposed length. The applicants are planning to build a 70-foot long dwelling in the center of what is now a very unique green space, as others have attested to. We are so fortunate to have a network of many open backyards which span across Park Hill Road and allow us to interact with our neighbors and fosters a greater sense of community. Allowing the length variance will put a very large structure in the middle of this very unique community space. It will also affect our house in particular, as the morning sunlight we receive would be significantly reduced or eliminated in some areas, allowing snow and ice buildup, as well as reducing our enjoyments in the spring and summer months. In some areas, it would also affect the sunlight and the current views from our master bedroom, kitchen, and family rooms. If you scroll through some of the pictures, you will see some of those views that will be replaced by brick walls. You see those window views looking out to the cedar tree. When we look south now, we see greenery, whereas the proposal is approved, we will instead be looking at a brick wall. The general intent of the zoning bylaw includes maintaining front and rear property lines. If you can scroll through to one of the pictures, it shows a lineup of all the rear property lines, and you see how they're relatively uniform. The proposed bill would certainly differ from that and change that completely. This does not seem to be changing the rear property lines. This does not seem to be the intent of the zoning bylaw. We do support the construction of a new property on 40 Park Hill Road. However, the variances being requested are not minor in size or impact. They would have a significant adverse effect on ours and neighboring properties.
Sir, can you summarize, please?
The city zoning bylaws. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, just one question for Mr. Glazer. I just, in terms of all the opposition that I've heard so far as well, I just needed to ask on, your behalf and their behalf. Does, in your opinion, any of the variances meet with the character of other homes that have been developed in the area? Does that form part of the characteristic? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very fair question. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Are you? Okay. So that's a very fair question. So on our stretch of Park Hill Road, there's about basically between Whitmore and the top of Fairley Crescent, there's about 10 homes. Okay. None of the homes have a setback anywhere near this home. You can tell from the picture that I took in one direction. You can take a similar picture in the other direction. So this is out of keeping with all of the houses on our stretch of Park Hill Road. I'll characterize it as the west side of Park Hill Road between Fairley and Whitmore. None of the houses are anywhere near this scope. In fact, probably, or to give you perspective, our house may be one of the biggest in square footage and the furthest back. Our house goes 48 feet back. We stopped well short of what we were allowed, which is many feet more, several feet more. We didn't want to impact the tree. That was our main reason. And thankfully the tree has flourished. So that our house is plenty big for our needs. So this would be, certainly not in keeping with any of the houses on the west side of Park Hill Road, and would change the rear property lines.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go back to the agent. Sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you heard the comments from Mr. Glazer. If you'd like to reply to them, I suggest that you just confine your remarks to the comments made by Mr. Glazer.
Sure. With regards to the trees itself, we did prepare an arborist report. It was prepared by Ashley Tree Care. And that tree on the Mr. Glazer's property was identified, and it was identified as being maintained. So we have no issues with that tree. We don't intend to remove that tree. In addition to that, Urban Forestry has commented on this application, indicating no concern subject to the standard condition number 2. With regards to the FSIs, that's at 0.692 that's being proposed for this property, you'll note that there was an area context map that was submitted in the presentation slides, which highlighted properties that are in green. So this property that's at 0.692 in terms of FSI, in terms of its massing, is more than consistent with what's existing in the area and what's been approved in the area. Also, with regards to the side yard setback, if you go to the survey, Mr. Glazer's property at 42 Park Hill Road, on the south side, or the side lot line that abuts the subject property at 40, you'll note that the setback to his property or to his building is 0.46 of a meter. So well within, it's actually located closer to my client's property than my client's house will be close to that same lot line at 0.663. So this basically reiterates the fact that this is a very tightly knit neighborhood in terms of side yard setbacks. It's very close knit. With regards to this, there was this mention again about this community space at the rear. This is not a community space. It's not a public open space. It's not a park that's occurring within the rear yards of these properties. It's a rear yard of individual lots. And once again, they have the opportunity, whoever it may be, to erect a 6-foot board-on-board fence, and that is the end of it. There is no landscaping variances that is being sought. With addition, and also with regards to this whole statement with regards to having a consistent rear wall, you'll note that the bylaw allows you to have a 17-meter length in terms of a building length. And these houses that are found on Park Hill, and some of the houses found on Park Hill, don't meet that maximum or a maximum requirement, and they have the ability to do so sometime in the future. Once again, this is a technical variance with regards to building length and building depth, as indicated before, because the deck is excavated underneath. If it wasn't excavated, it would still look the same with brick under the deck, and nobody would be the wiser in terms of whether it's excavated or not, and whether or not if it gets calculated as building length or depth. This is a proposal, once again, that is under the height requirements at 10 meters, 1 meter below the requirements, at 11, which is 11 meters in this area. And this was once again done purposely to ensure that the massing and the way it presents to the street would be consistent with other homes found on the same block and throughout the neighborhood. I do believe that this is a very appropriate proposal. It does meet the satisfaction of planning staff and forestry, in addition to transportation. It is a modest proposal that is more than consistent with this neighborhood and would be an enhancement to the otherwise stable nature of this neighborhood as well. This is my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm taking after listening to the all participants, I agree mostly with the comments made by the staff. So I'm taking the recommendation that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, attachment number 1 to this report. I move that this application be approved with forestry conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that motion? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Ms. Sankar dissenting. That motion carries. Sir, your application's been approved subject to urban forestry and city planning conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 5-minute break.
The application itself knew it could be shareable.
Hi, we received the application to the building department our system, but we haven't received on the committee of adjustment north side of it yet. My suggestion would be to call the buildings department and find out if the process has been cleared and maybe push it over to committee of adjustment.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, committee is back in session. We are now on item number 7, 71 to 75 Curlew Drive. I have one person registered to speak. That is Adam Brown. Are you there, sir?
Chairman and members of committee, Adam Brown on behalf of the applicant.
Yes, thank you, sir. Just wanted to, before you start, I note that there are no staff comments or conditions on your application. So I'll just ask if there's, I would just say that due to the nature of the development, and that appears to be a new development that the committee may not be familiar with, if you could give us a brief presentation, sir, on the application and the reason for the variances.
Absolutely. I provided you with some slides which could be helpful. And while they're being put up, I'll give you.
Mr. Chair, can he introduce himself, please, for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Adam Brown. I'm the lawyer for the applicant.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So the slides we gave you, before I even go through them, I'll give you like the Coles Notes version. And the Coles Notes version is, this is an application that went through a very successful planning process with the local community and the local councillor. And following its approval, has gone through a site plan process. Through the site plan process, what's occurred is there's been a revelation that some of the bylaw standards in the overlapping bylaws were not caught. And so we have to go for some very technical variances that we're now seeking. So the first slide simply shows you the site and its location. There's a plaza behind it and a railway. And in addition, there's Victoria Park and Lawrence Avenue. If you go to the next slide. The next slide shows you side by each the buildings. So I'm going to say this to you. For the setback variances and the mapping that we had that was very site specific, they missed the protrusions for the balconies on the second floor. Other than that, the built form envelope is exactly the same. No change whatsoever. But it was missed when they were doing the overlapping of bylaw 569 and 7625 of the former city of North York. But what I'm just showing you in these two slides is we're the same, and it relates to the architectural protrusions from the building. If you go to the next one. And the next one shows you our stair enclosure comparisons. These stair enclosures through the site plan design process, we've provided weather protection. So they've been a little bit redesigned as part of the site plan process with staff input, and now there's weather protection. So because they previously didn't have the little coverings on them, that's a variance. And I mean, this was very shrink wrap the bylaw, so it needed these changes. And the next one. The basement areas, for some reason, they missed the inclusions for the GFA. So while I showed you that there's zero difference in terms of the extent of the basement or the above ground, basement GFA was excluded, which should have been included for bicycle parking and the like. There's different variations, the way they do it in the old bylaw and the new bylaw. So we did get a zoning review, but it changed a bit, and building said you need this to get your permits. And the next one. This one is really was odd. We have the exact same amount of permeable pavers in the back. The bottom slide of the slide shows you, I've taken the green off of it so you could see there are bullards for a emergency access if there's ever a fire, and that's what it shows you. But we always had agreed with staff to use permeable pavers so that it's an attractive green space, because hopefully it's never needed. And that's the only reason. The new zoning examiner who was doing the permit review said, you know what? You've got to exclude that from landscape open space, even though you've already agreed to site plan approval and conditions that have the permeable pavers. And that's it. That's the nature of the application. So very technical, not changing, and was a really good process with a great community group we worked with, and planning staff was great too.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Brown. I'll go to the committee.
Thank you.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question to Mr. Brown is, Mr. Brown, I have noted that variance number 1 to variance number 9, the architect or person who's submitting the application has used new bylaws, zoning bylaws. And from 10 to 19, he has used conveniently the old bylaws. Why it is so?
So I don't know. The reason is that the City of Toronto in some sites gives you exemptions from one and creates what they call a hole. So you don't apply to the old and the new, and in some of them they don't. And I'm having this all over the city. It depends on the various different areas of the city, whether they exempt you from the old or the new. In this one, we had agreed to go through an amendment that had variances or site-specific bylaws affecting the old and the new. I don't know what the difference is and why the city does it, but nothing we can control. So we had to submit it based on the old and the new bylaw, because for now, until the new bylaw is finally approved by the tribunal, they both prevail. Okay. So you have to go with the most restrictive provisions of both.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I accept the explanation provided by the agent, and given there's no objection from city planning staff, I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion. Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Khan dissenting. That motion carries. Mr. Brown, your application has been approved without condition. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Yes, we're now on item number 8, 129 Anthony Road. I have just one person registered to speak. That is the agent, Bart Suzuki. Are you there? S-Z-O-K-E.
I am. Yes.
Sir, can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Bart Soki. My address is 257 Margaretta Street, Toronto.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just going through your file, I note that there are no staff comments or conditions on this application. It's pretty clear. It's you're putting it's a new garage. It's pretty clear what you're asking for in the 4 variances that we have before us. So I'll just ask, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this morning?
Just a few things, Mr. Chairman. I mean, as you can see from the site plan, it's a fairly large lot. So there's there's room for kind of a garage like this, and in particular with the extra length, we're asking for 1.49 meters of extra length, but it doesn't create a rear yard setback. And if, there are a couple of houses immediately to the east side, 125 and 127, that extend approximately, the same distance beyond the, to the same extent that this garage is extending. So so in terms of depth, we think it's appropriate. The side yard setback, we thought it was reasonable to ask for a reduced setback, because on the east side we have quite a large setback of 1.9 meters, and that creates a buffer between the east side property, and then on the west side property, that house is set back over 1.8 meters. So we thought it was kind of a sensible use of property to not be required to maintain a full 1.8 on both sides. In terms of the front yard landscaping, we just increased the front porch size a little bit, just to make it a bit more generous in the steps. So we do have a bit of a reduction in soft landscaping there. And the other variance for the distance from the eaves from the property line, if the building were set back 1.8 meters, and we had the full possible eave extension, we'd have an encroachment of about 0.57 meters. So not a big encroachment. So we did submit a document with local variances. There's about half a dozen variances that for length that are 19 meters and up to 24 meters in the neighborhood. So, a fair bit longer than what we're asking for, and side setbacks that are even less than there's about half a dozen yard setbacks that are even less than what we're asking for. So we think it's a reasonable proposal, and ask that committee consider it.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is, sir, about variance number 4. The west side eaves are encouraging 1.47 meters when the maximum allowable is 0.30 meter. Could you explain why what is the justification that we should give you this much leave?
Yeah, I've been looking at that number. I didn't get back in touch with the zoning examiner because I can't really figure out how that number was arrived at. As I said, if you have a 1.8 meter setback and you're permitted a 0.9 meter overhang, you have the eave is then 0.9 meters away from the lot line. We're 0.3 meters, so by my calculation, we encroach 0.6 meters into the required setback. So I'm not sure where 1.47 comes from, quite frankly.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I mean, looking at this application, I do believe that it's minor and meets the 4 tests. I also see that there is no opposition and, in fact, letters of support as well. So I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application has been unanimously approved without condition.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Now on item number 9, 213 Empress Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That is David Eigelman. Are you there?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair and committee.
Yes, hello, sir. I just wanted to ask, before we start, I note that going through your file, I note that there's a report from city planning here. Just give me a moment. Their report of April 6 recommends modifying variance number 1 for the proposed rear deck projection from 4.11 meters to 3 meters, and variance number 4 for the proposed lot coverage from 32.4% to 32%. And apparently you've agreed to those 2 revisions. But staff is also recommending refusing variance number 2 for the proposed flat roof building height and variance number 5 for the proposed maximum building height as measured under former North York zoning bylaw number 7625. I was just going to ask, sir, in view of those last 2 recommendations with respect to variances numbers 2 and numbers 5, would you like to defer the application to discuss these issues further with city planning, or would you like to proceed today?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to proceed today.
Okay, thank you. Are you proposing then to change variances numbers 1 and 4 as requested by city planning?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I have submitted a revised set of plans, a revised zoning notice, and a cover letter detailing the revisions to the variances. So we have made the changes to variance number 1 and variance number 4. We have also made reductions to other variances such as the height.
Sir, if you can go through each one of those changes so the committee's fully apprised of the changes that you've made. Let's go through them one by one.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Variant number 1, the rear deck projection has been revised and reduced to 3 meters from the rear main wall.
Okay, from 4.11.
Yes.
Okay. Next.
Variance number 2 has been revised and reduced to 8.165 meters.
Hang on, just a minute,
From-
just a moment here. Variance number 2 is the proposed height is 8.56 meters. So what are you changing it to?
8.165 meters.
8.165, okay. Next.
Variance number 3 has been reduced to 17.70 meters.
Okay, so hang on. So right now it's the proposed building length is 17.97 meters. You're reducing it to 17.70 meters?
Yes.
Okay, next.
Variance number 4 has been reduced to 32%.
Okay, right now that's the proposed lot coverage is 32.4%. You're reducing it to 32%.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Yep. Lastly, variance number 5 has been reduced to 8.77 meters.
Okay, that's the old North York, the obsolete North York bylaw. Says the proposed building height is 9.17 meters, and that's been reduced to which?
8.77.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, sir. If you'd like to give the committee a rundown of those changes and in a brief presentation, please.
Yes, no problem, Mr. Chair. So through you, Mr. Chair, good morning. My name is David Eagleman. I'm a planner at Design Plan Services here on behalf of the owners. Before getting into the variances, I would like to note that we have consulted extensively with community planning staff regarding this application and have made a number of revisions to the proposal and requested variances in an attempt to satisfy planning staff. Despite the revisions made, planning staff are not entirely satisfied, as indicated in their report dated April 6, 2022, and planning staff are recommending that the committee refuse the proposed height variance. I respectfully disagree with planning staff's recommendation, and I am of the opinion that the committee should approve this application and all associated variances as revised. I would also like to note that there have been no concerns or objections raised by any neighbors or any other city departments regarding this application. I will first deal with the proposed height variance, considering it is the only variance of concern to planning staff and the local councillor, as we have made revisions to the other variances that planning staff were previously concerned with to their satisfaction. So regarding variance number 2 and number 5, both variances pertain to the proposed building height. Variance number 2 pertains to the height as per bylaw 569/2013, and variance number 5 pertains to the height as per former bylaw 7625. The proposal requires both variances due to outstanding appeals to the current bylaw 569/2013. The reason the two variances are slightly different is because of a difference in calculating the proposed height as per the two bylaws. And for the purposes of my presentation, I will address the proposed height in respect to the current 569/2013 bylaw. The proposed building height has been reduced to 8.165 meters, whereas planning staff have requested that we lower the height to 8 meters. As such, we are only 16.5 centimeters greater than what planning staff have requested and are only 96.5 centimeters greater than what is permitted as of right. The proposed ceiling heights are only 8 feet for both the first and second floors, which is very modest for a new dwelling, and if reduced any further, it would create an undesirable dwelling. Additionally, there have been a number of approvals for building height variances on the street and within the broader neighborhood, such as 180 Empress Avenue, approved at 10.06 meters, 222 Empress Avenue, approved at 9.52 meters, 264 Empress Avenue, approved at 10.31 meters, and 267 Empress Avenue, approved at 9.37 meters.
Senator, you're loud.
Based on these approvals and the provided justification, it is demonstrated that the proposed building height will be in keeping with the existing character of the neighborhood and will have little to no impact further than what is contemplated by the bylaw. Regarding variance number 1, the proposed rear deck projection has been reduced to 3 meters and is no higher than the first floor, which is the floor that from which it gains access. Additionally, this variance is required only for the staircase landing of the rear deck, whereas a majority of the deck projects 1.94 meters, which is compliant with and is 56 centimeters less than the bylaw permission. Regarding variance number 3, the proposed building length has been reduced to 17.7 meters, which is only 70 centimeters greater than what is permitted as of right. Moreover, due to the proposed design of the dwelling, the proposed building length of 17.7 meters will not be perceived from most perspectives. This is a result of the fact that the proposed dwelling has somewhat of a staggered design, where one side of the dwelling has a different length than the other. The east half of the dwelling will have a length of 15.72 meters, and the west half of the dwelling will have a length of 16.64 meters, which are both compliant with the bylaw requirement. Thus, this variance is only a result of the fact that the building length is measured from the furthest portion of the east half of the dwelling at the front to the furthest portion of the west half of the dwelling at the rear. Additionally, the proposed dwelling will be almost exactly in line with the adjacent dwelling at 215 Empress Avenue. Regarding variance number 4, the proposed lot coverage has been reduced to 32%, which is only 2% or 11.86 square meters greater than what is permitted as of right. The proposed lot coverage includes the second floor balcony, which will not have any material massing impacts. Excluding the second floor balcony, proposed lot coverage is 31% or only 1% greater than what is permitted as of right. Regarding variance number 6, the proposed first floor height is only 11 centimeters greater than what is permitted as of right and is a very minor variance. Based on the provided justification, I'm of the opinion that this proposal fits in with both the existing and planned context for the neighborhood, is consistent with the redevelopment trends along Empress Avenue and the broader neighborhood context, and for these reasons, I believe this application represents good planning and meets the 4 tests under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll just go back. Just please note that this application has been revised. I'll just go through them again so that we're clear about the changes. We have variance number 1 has been changed. The proposed rear deck projects 4.11 meters from the rear wall, has been reduced from 4.11 meters to 3.0 meters. Variance number 2, the proposed height is 8.565 meters. That has been reduced to 8.165 meters. Variance number 3, the proposed building length is 17.97 meters. That has been reduced to 17.7 meters. Variance number 4, the proposed lot coverage is 32.4% of the lot area has been reduced to 32%. And variance number 5, the old North York bylaw 7625, the proposed building height is 9.17 meters, has been reduced to 8.77 meters. If I could get a motion on those on this revised application, please. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. After the revision and modification of all these variances from number 1 to number 6, I find it reasonably conforming to the zoning bylaws, and therefore I move that this application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. I have a motion from Mr. Khan to approve. If I could get someone to second that motion. Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your revised application has been unanimously approved without condition. Now on item number 10, 86 St. Leonard's Avenue. I have two people registered to speak. I have Mahir Manios. Are you there? Mahir Manios, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, can I get your full name and address, please?
It's Meher Manius. I'm the agent for the owner, number 1 Teakwood Grove, Toronto, M3B 2H9.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just noted that going through your application, I note there's a report on file from Transportation Services dated the 7th of April. They have no objections to your application, subject to a couple of conditions. One's a standard condition that you add a notation to the site plan indicating that you're going to close and restore existing driveways. Also, that you restore the existing driveway and curb cut on Dundurn Road in compliance with their first condition, and revise the site plan to label the proposed curb cut of 5.49 meters consistent with the proposed driveway width. And it doesn't say which street. I would presume it's St. Leonard's. Have you had the opportunity to read that report, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have no objection to the recommendations.
Okay, thank you. In view of the fact that we have one other person registered to speak, if you'd like to give us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
I'd be happy to. So in front of you, Mr. Chair, we're proposing a new 2-story detached dwelling with integral garage off St. Leonard's to replace the existing 3-story dwelling and the 2-car detached garage in the backyard, both to be demolished. We're requesting 5 variances under the new Toronto bylaw 569. Regarding the first variance being GFA or FSI, we're proposing 0.567 versus allowable 0.35. And if staff would be kind enough to bring up the supporting material, the smaller file, 0.13 megabytes, April 7. We've provided 3 pages of recently approved decisions by the Committee for Adjustment for new houses and renovated ones, and they vary in size between 0.54 to 0.7 GFA, so we're at the low end of what's been approved in the neighborhood. Regarding, if we can stick with these slides that is on the screen right now, regarding the west setback, if we just can go to the site plan, we're proposing a 0.76 setback instead of the 1.5 meter. And on the site plan, which is in front of you, you'll see that those 2 boxes to the 2 box space which front onto Dundurn Road. Although the bylaw allows for box space to encroach into the side yard up to 0.6 meters away from the property line, we're actually 0.76. The reason for the variance is because the bylaw requires that these box space be cantilevered. We're proposing for them to have foundations just for the aesthetics of the house and to maintain the consistency of the look, the brick and limestone finish. The main wall is actually set back 1.2, 1.68, and 2.14 meter towards the back of the property. Regarding the east setback, on the site plan, it also shows a highlighted area on the east side, which is towards the east neighbor. The variance is for 1.22 meters versus the allowable 1.5. The variance is only for the lower level garage, and that's highlighted on the site plan. If staff can just scroll over to the front elevation, which is south. Next page over, please. It shows that garage variance, yes, that's it. So it's on the right-hand side, the yellow highlighted area, that's the portion of the house which is in variance, and it's around 2.1 meter height, which is the height of a fence. The actual main wall of the house is at the front setback over 2 meters, in the middle 1.52, and as you go further to the back, it's set back 3 meters away. So the variance is only for that small highlighted area on the right-hand side that you see there. The variance for the stair and porch, the bylaw allows for an encroachment to the side yard up to 0.6 meter for stairs and porches. The landscape steps that we have are at 0 setback. The actual porch itself complies at 0.61 meters. Now, lastly, regarding the driveway, moving the driveway from Dundurn onto St. Leonard's, which is the frontage of the house, I would appreciate if staff can go a little bit further up to the site plan, the first page on this document. Thank you. So if Mr. Chair, you notice there's quite a few circles around this property. This is indicating all the mature trees to be protected, both city and private. And also I know there's 3 hydro poles, a Bell or Rogers boxes well on Dundurn. There's only 2 spots on this property where you can have a driveway, where we're proposing it on St. Leonard's, and also where the existing driveway is of Dundurn. This is not unique in any sense that this has been done over and over again in Lawrence Park, where you see corner lots having the driveway off the frontage side. If we're to keep it off the back, then the driveway will have to be maintained where it is cutting off the back of the house from the backyard. It will also extend the length of the house by approximately 4 meters, which is where the existing garage is, being that's the only place we can actually put that garage because of all the restrictions that we have between trees and hydro poles. It will also cause additional damage to the east neighbor trees. Scrolling through the supporting documents, I've provided an area map of the part of Lawrence Park, which shows all the corner lots and pictures of these houses, showing there's numerous examples of this being done. The concern that was given by one of the, I think, the neighbor to the south. Sure, I'm just gonna, I can address the concern of the neighbor to the front, or I can leave it after they speak and say what they're concerned about. There was one email that was sent, I think a couple of days ago. I can address it, or I can do it later on.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to the next person. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Mona Lee or Dennis Brockman. Are you there?
Oh, good morning. You have both Mona Lee and Dennis Brockman here.
Good morning, Chair.
Thank you. So if one
Thank
person
you
can speak?
Yes, I'll be speaking. Thank you.
Thank
We are the next door neighbors to 86 at 88 St. Leonard's. And I'd just like to say that we have lived in this house, in this wonderful neighborhood for 29 years and have gone together very amicably with our next door neighbor in 86 St. Leonard's. We went back and forth between the houses. We have the chain link fence, as someone else referred to this morning, until more recently when the whole makeup of Lawrence Park has started to change. We lived through the first year of the pandemic with a new build at 109 St. Leonard's that took over a year with no consideration for COVID. We lived through that. Now we are about to embark on 3 more rip downs within a few houses of us starting in the next few months. So we have no objections to the issues on the west side facing of the property that they are planning. But as we are very close beside, we have objections to both the setback of 1.22 to accommodate his garage. He says, basically they're jutting it out so that he could accommodate a larger garage there. And that the first part. And then secondly, our even more important issue is the garage and the driveway facing St. Leonard's. As some of you may know, St. Leonard's has become a major thoroughfare. Over the years, the traffic has been incredible. People have tried, we've gone to J. Robinson trying to get speed bumps on the street, and it's very busy. Now they are proposing to put a driveway within like 10 feet of the stop sign. This is also a lot of the neighborhood children walk past the house and turn at that corner to go to Blythewood Public School and have for years. I mean, there's a reason, ladies and gentlemen, that these houses should be facing Dundurn. The driveway should face Dundurn, because this is very close to the stop sign, and it is a hazard, okay? Irrespective of the fact that other houses have done it, it doesn't mean this one, if you measure it, it's like literally 10 or 11 feet from the corner. And if we put up a hedge or the large fence that we're now gonna have to do, when these people back up, they're not gonna be able to see the kids walking by, on this corner. It's so close. So therefore, we strongly object. And, you know, the setback that they're asking for is giving us much less room to walk between our property and there because we are going to be forced to put a large fence. Currently, there is no fence there. And we've, you know, as I say, been for 29 years here. And now we're, you know, forced to follow up. The other thing we're not sure about is this retaining wall of this driveway. If they put it there, what's going to happen there? And the other thing is that without seeing a colored drawing of the house, we aren't going to be able to see how high it is either. So those are our objections.
Okay, thank you, Madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go back to the agent. Are you there, Mr. Manios?
So I'll just go over Ms. Lee's comments. First of all, just a clarification is the driveway is not 10 feet away from the stop sign. It's over 26 feet away.
I'm sorry, who is speaking?
It's Mahir Manias, the agent.
Oh, thank you. Okay, you heard the comments from Ms. Lee. If you'd like to respond to them.
Sure, happy to, Mr. Chair. So just a clarification regarding the distance away from the driveway. It's not 10 feet away from the stop sign. It's actually more than 26 feet away. And it's not 20 feet away from the corner. It's actually 63 feet away from the corner of Dundurn. So it's a fair distance away. Regarding the garage setback, actually the existing house right now, there's a deck on the side with steps which encroach all the way up to the property line. And it's only a few centimeters away from the property line. We're proposing to maintain a 4-foot setback and 5 and 10 feet all the way towards the back of the house. As explained, that portion which is in variance is the height of the fence, which will completely be invisible once the fence is put on the mutual property line. And it's not because of the garage being wider. Actually, the zoning bylaw allows for properties with 15.24 meters frontages to have 2-car garages as of right. So this is actually an exemption in the bylaw for properties of this size. Regarding St. Leonard's being a thoroughfare, yes, it is correct. It is a route that some people use to access from Bayview to Mount Pleasant. But I just want to bring to the attention to the committee that there's actually a stop sign at the corner. So the cars have to stop as they approach this corner. It's not like it's a continuous drive. So driveway or no driveway, the cars have to stop there before proceeding further west to get to the Mount Pleasant. Now, the pictures we've provided, there's even a house across the road, kitty corner from this one, with a below-grade garage, and we haven't, which is even more treacherous to back out from. And as far as I know, we haven't heard of any person saying that there's been any accidents and what have you caused by this below-grade garage, which has the same condition that we're proposing here. The drive is actually sloping towards the street, so it's not a below-grade garage. And I don't think there's going to be any safety issues, just given the fact that there is a stop sign at the corner. And as per the pictures I've submitted as well in the area map, it shows that this is a very typical design. And if it wasn't for the issues of the trees and all the trees and hydropoles that we had on this property, there would have been other options for us to design something different. But we're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place on this property. And happy to answer any question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Manios, I have one question. Although I'm not benefiting from the comments from the staff, there are none. But my concern is variance number 1, floor space index. You have 0.567, which is 38% more than the maximum allowable. First of all, I'm not going to accept this kind of increase. And number 2, would you like to modernize or modify this one?
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Through you, Mr. Chair. If staff can be kind enough to bring up the supporting document, the smaller file, which has 3 pages of previous decisions. I'm not sure, Mr. Khan, if you're aware that the 0.35 GFA requirement is considered a control mechanism in the Lawrence Park area. It's not just Lawrence Park, it's certain neighborhoods in the city of Toronto, like Moore Park, Lytton Park, Rosedale, Forest Hill. There's quite a few neighborhoods where they put the 35% as a control mechanism, so everything gets vetted through the Committee for Adjustment. All development gets vetted. As far as I know, and I've been doing this for 25 years, I don't know of any house that actually does comply with the 35%. And as per the 3 pages of supporting documents that we've provided, most of the approvals the Committee for Adjustment has looked at over the years has ranged in the region of the 0.54 all the way up to 0.8. I'm saying the average is around the 0.54 to 0.7. So we're well within at the low end of what's been approved in the neighborhood. So the 0.35 is not meant for compliance. It's meant as a control mechanism. So everything does get vetted at the Committee for Adjustment. And I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, thank you.
You're still
Khan?
high.
Mr. Khan, do you have any further questions?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the debutantes who've expressed their concerns, as well as the clarification that Mr. Khan had requested. But in reviewing this application, and with respect to the actual area, I do believe that what the applicant is saying is correct for that region, and I do accept the explanations that he's provided. There's no concerns from staff, there's some conditions from transportation, and there's even a letter of support. I was concerned about that blind curve area, but as indicated, there is a stop sign that's at the corner, and transportation hasn't expressed any further concern. So for all of these reasons and the explanations provided by the applicant here today, I'm convinced that it does meet the 4 tests in my eyes. And so I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application, and I'm going to make it subject to the April 7th transportation report and conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved, subject to transportation services conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Item number 11, 2576 Young Street. I have one person registered to speak. That's David Bronskill. Mr. Bronskill,
can you hear me okay? Yes, can you hear me okay, Mr. Chair?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. If I can just get your full name and address, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. Last name is Bronskill, Bronskill. First initial D is for David. Here as agent for the applicant. And in non-pandemic times, the mailing address is 333 Bay Street, Suite 3400, Toronto, Ontario. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. That's pretty clear what you're asking for. You have the one variance, one parking variance. I'll just ask, is there anything you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this morning?
No, sir. I would just simply say we do have a parking space at the back. It just doesn't count as a parking space because it doesn't have direct access to a public road. That triggers the need for the variances for this spin studio, and we are thankful for the report from staff indicating no objection.
Yes, thank you, sir. I noted, I forgot to say that at the beginning, there's a report from Transportation Services dated the 7th of April that had no objections to the parking variance. I'll just ask the committee, does it have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I find it reasonably a good application, and therefore I move that this application be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously, sir. Your application's unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I have item number 12, 1 Charnwood Road. I have one person registered to speak. The agent is Nicole Parr. Are you there?
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Nicole Parr. I'm at 22 Blue Forest Drive, and I'm the agent on this application representing my client.
Okay, thank you, madam. I just wanted to ask, I've gone through your file. I note that there's a couple of staff reports here I just wanted to make mention of. There's a report from City Planning dated the 7th of April of this year. They recommend modifying variance number 1 regarding the front yard landscaping from increasing it from 44.58% to 51.9%. And if this revised application is approved, staff also recommends developing the side exterior main walls that be substantially in accordance with the east side elevation drawings attached to their report. There's also a report from Transportation Services dated the 7th of April, and they're recommending that you revise the proposed driveway width consistent with the existing condition. I just wanted to ask, have you seen those two reports, madam?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And actually, my client was very diligent in working with city staff the past couple weeks. And he's to modify variance 1 from 44.58 to 51.9 is perfect, and as well to comply with transportation recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going back to the notice here. So variance number 1, I'll just read it out so that it's in the record here. Variance number 1 reads the proposed front yard landscaping area is 44.58%, and you are increasing that to 51.90%. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Just going to ask, is there pretty clear what you're asking for in the variances? I'll just ask, is there anything you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
No, not too much. I just wanted to say that my client reached out to several of the neighbors. Due to COVID, he kept it a bit limited, so he wasn't, forcing down people's doors, but he was able to obtain 4 letters of support. That he spent quite a few days talking to city staff, hearing what they had to say and being very accommodating, and that we believe this to be minor. We've also confirmed that forestry have no objections, and we've tried our best to maintain the green space, given this bit of an irregular curved corner lot. So that's all we have to say.
Great, thank you, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, if I could get a motion on this revised application, please note that variance number 1, the front yard landscaping, has been increased from 44.58% to 51.9%. So if I could get a motion on this revised application, please. Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the proposal as amended meets the intents of the zoning bylaws, and I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application with the revision that variance number 1 to be modified as you've read into the record. It also, subject to the planning staff condition that the side exterior main wall be developed substantially in accordance with the east side elevation drawings attached to the planning staff report dated April 7th, and also subject to the transportation condition in the planning or in the transportation report that the revised site plan be revised to revise the proposed driveway with to be consistent with the existing condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that motion? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your revised application has been approved subject to City Planning and Transportation Services conditions.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Item number 13, 151 Faywood Boulevard. I have 3 people registered to speak. The agent is Rebecca Salmon or Joseph Salmon. Are you there? Rebecca Salmon or Joseph Salmon, are you there?
Joseph Salmon.
Oh, yes, hello. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Sure, it's Joseph Salmon, S-A-L-M-O-N, and the address is 151 Faywood Boulevard. And I'm making brief submissions on behalf of myself and my spouse, Rebecca Salmon, after which our agent, Daniel Lewis, will have some more substantive submissions.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask, there's a number of reports on file with your application. There's recommended condition from Urban Forestry. There's a report from Transportation Services dated the 7th of April. They have no objections to your proposed driveway width, but there's also a report from City Planning that has basically says recommends eliminating variance number 4 for the proposed exterior stairs, modifying variance number 7 for the proposed front yard landscaping from 50.43% to 56.99%, eliminating variance number 8 for the proposed soft front yard landscaping, eliminating variance number 9 for the proposed width of the vehicle entrance, modifying variance number 10 for the proposed driveway width from 13.51 meters to 9.961 meters, modifying variance 11 for the proposed lot coverage from 43.14% to 42.89%, modifying variance number 12 for the proposed building height from 10.91 meters to 10.31 meters, modifying variance number 13 for the proposed site exterior main wall height from 8.11 meters to 7.94 meters, and modifying variance number 17 for the proposed building height from 11.005 meters to 10.45 meters. I just wanted to ask, sir, they indicate that these were changes, revisions that were proposed by you. Are you proposing to make those changes, sir?
Yes, I believe we are. I'll let my agent speak more substantively to that.
Okay, well, is your agent
presentation
there? Can they take over, please?
Yes, he is here. I just wanted to briefly, there's just one other additional point before
Hang on just a second, sir. Sir. There are a lot of changes proposed to this application. Are you proposing to make more changes than what's listed in the planning report?
No, we aren't. I'll let my agent speak to,
okay,
to all this.
Can
He
you put
is
him on,
in
please?
attendance.
Him or her?
He should be on them.
Hello?
Yes, I believe the city's putting him on. We're waiting for the city here.
Daniel, I cannot unmute you. Can you please authorize your mic? Mr. Chair, Daniel Lewis is on the WebEx right now, but he has not authorized his microphone.
Okay. We'll set this file down. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Pereira, we'll set this file down. We'll go to the next application.
One moment, Mr. Chair. Mr. Lewis, if you could log out and log back in and make sure you authorize the use of your microphone, that would be great.
Okay, we'll come back to this application, Mr. Pereira. Thank you. We'll go to item number 14, 103 OTONABEE Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Jonathan Benskowski. Are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, sir. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Jonathan, 301 Keewatin Avenue.
Okay, thank you, sir. I've just gone through your file. I note that there's only one staff condition. It's from Urban Forestry. You have 3 variances before us. It's pretty clear what you're asking for. I'll just ask, is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
No, sir. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the fact that there are no department concerns expressed other than urban forestry requirements, I would move approval of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Benkowski, your application has been unanimously approved, subject to urban forestry conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pereira, can we go back to 151 Faywood?
Yes, we have Daniel Lewis now.
Okay, thank you. Can I get, I understand the agent is on the line. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Mr. Chair, we just lost him again.
Okay, well, we will jump ahead then to item number 16. Item number 15 was deferred. So item number 16, which is 14 Thursfield Crescent. I have one person registered to speak. That's the agent, Lindsay Bruce. Are you there? Lindsay Bruce, are you there?
Yes, we are here. Thank you. This is actually Joel Tanner from Simple Design Studio. I'm the owner, and Lindsay Bruce is my colleague.
Okay, thank you. If I could get your full name and address, please.
Absolutely. Joel, Joel Tanner, Tanner, same address, 15 Colburn Street in Hamilton, Ontario.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to ask, the only comment we have from staff on this application is from Transportation Services. There's a report dated the 7th of April that recommends refusing your request for variance number 1. I just wanted to ask, sir, just to be clear, the parking space you're proposing, because it sounds like from what Transportation Services was saying, is that the parking space is partially located on municipal property. And from the site plan, it looks like the front yard parking space, is it all entirely on private property?
Yes, sir, it is. So we do have full parking availability for a full stall. The issue herein lies is that this development from 50 or 60 years ago, there's a very consistent parking basis on all homes on the street.
Sir, before you go any further, I just wanted to ask, would you like committee to hear the application today, or would you like to defer the application so you could discuss this with Transportation Services?
We would like to have the proposal heard today.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to, then because of we've had a number of confusing memos from Transportation Service. So if you'd like to give us what you see as your view on this application, then please proceed.
Most definitely. Thank you so much. So the proposal here regarding today is a very, very simple proposal where we're simply asking for relief of the bylaw from a legal parking space. The addition, both in terms of GFA, lot coverage, height, depth, etc., is all in keeping with the allowables within the zoning bylaw parameters. The issue on all of the properties on this street is that there is easements registered on each parcel owner's property, and that creates a joint ownership right to access the rear property for what used to be single detached garages. Not all properties currently have the single detached garage as an existing condition. In our case, we do. We are looking to remove it. So the relief from the bylaw today is strictly for the parking stall only. We do have more than enough space to meet the overall zoning bylaw to fit the parking stall wholly on our private property. The issue being is that part of that parking stall, if you were to park there, which they do every day, and all owners on the street do, is that they're parking partially on their parcel of registered land and partially on the easement portion of land of theirs that they own. And so where we had a discussion with the chief of staff from the councillor's office a couple days ago to see if they had any concerns regarding the proposal. We've reached out to 24 neighbors and have 24 neighbors' signatures in support of the application. I think that that's very strong proof and evidence that this is a consistent detail within this particular community, and that the proposal is in keeping with the overall intent of the bylaw, and which is why we do want to present today and don't quite agree with transportation comments and their concerns. And that's where we've landed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just, you indicated, I'm looking at your plan of survey, there's no shared right-of-way between your properties, is there?
There's a registered easement on title for our property as well as for the neighbor's property in order for both parties to access the rear yard.
Okay, because I don't see it identified on your survey.
On our site plan, it is not identified. It's identified on the original survey that was done by the survey company.
Okay, all right, okay, and it just doesn't show up on the survey that you filed with the committee. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake, I see it. My mistake, I see it.
Okay.
Subject to a right-of-way, my mistake, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Hunt? Oh, Mr. Hunt, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
I'm troubled by the reversal of the position by transportation. They had originally on April 7th had indicated they had no objections, subject to the applicant obtaining and maintaining annually a front yard parking license for the proposed parking space, or providing a copy of an on-street parking permit. And subsequently on that same date, they submitted another letter recommending refusal. So I'm having a difficult time, given that the applicant chose to go forward with this, to be able to approve this in light of those positions by transportation. So I am going to move to refuse this application on the basis of transportation position.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Someone to second that motion. Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Sir, your application's been unanimously refused. Thank you very much, sir. We'll go back to item number 13, 151 Faywood Boulevard. I'm looking for the agent. Are you there? Mr. Pereira, do we have the agent there?
I see Daniel listed. I still cannot unmute Daniel.
Okay, we're just going to proceed. We'll put him back to the bottom of the list. We'll go down to the next item on our agenda, item number 17, 16 Castell Lane. I have two people registered to speak. And the agent is a Maggie O-U. I'm sure I haven't, oh, pardon me, I have three people registered to speak. So I have the agent. Are you there?
Yes.
Yes, can I get your full name
Hello.
and address, please?
My name is Maggie O, 1608 83 Borough Drive.
Oh, thank you,
Toronto.
madam. Thank you, madam. I just note that the only comments we have regarding your application come from Toronto Region Conservation Authority. They're dated the 5th of April, and they have no objections to your application. I note that we have 2 other people registered to speak on this application, so if you'd like to make us a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your proposal.
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Maggie O. I am representing my client, Ms. Bai, owner of the property at 16 Castle Lane. We are proposing first and the second story addition, interior alteration, and new balconies to existing bungalow. According to the recommendation from the zoning examiner, we request the 4 variances under bylaw number 569, 2013. The request variances pertain to following: minimum required setback from the stable top of the bank, maximum permitted height of the all side exterior main walls, minimum required front yard setback, minimum required south side yard setback. The subject property is entirely located with the TRCA regulated area. The proposed development will be no closer to the top of the slope than the existing limits, and the existing side yard setback and the front yard setback are in the limits of the requirement under the city bylaw. Based on these limitations and conditions, we have made very effort to make design compatible and consistent with the neighborhood. Also, we have obtained support letters from TRCA planner and 4 neighbors. We think all variances are minor in nature. Hope you agree. Thank you very much for your time and considerations.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have Zintis Perkins, Perkons. Are you there?
Yes, it's Zintis Perkins. I'm at 14 Castell Lane.
Yes,
the neighbor immediately.
Thank you. If you'd like to
to
give
the
us
north.
your thoughts on this application.
In general, I support the development of 16 Castell Lane, but I have these following concerns as mentioned in my submission. Firstly, the plans as submitted has a gross error in the compass rose, which is off by more than 45 degrees, i.e. it's about 60 degrees, which makes the plans as submitted ambiguous as to what is the north wall versus east wall, etc. So I submit that the plans are invalid as submitted. Secondly, currently the 2 opposing walls of 14 Castell Lane and 16 Castell Lane have no windows. These are both original buildings built in 1956. The proposed new building, the second floor, has 2 new windows on the north wall, the one of which wraps around the northeast corner of the house. This window in particular would be 15 feet 8 inches above my daughter's window on our house. Similarly, there's a corner window on the ground floor, which also would allow viewing. So I respectfully request that window on the proposed north wall not extend past the front line of our house, or alternatively, we request that the northeast windows only face the street and not wrap around the corner. So that's really a privacy concern. Thirdly, the variance on the front yard setback will extend the proposed dwelling further forward towards the street than the 2 developed properties to the south, i.e. number 18 and number 20. Even if the proposed dwelling followed the trend of 18 and 20, we would lose sunlight. But the proposed build with the variance even further forward would substantially increase, with the substantial increased height, would certainly block our sunlight and our plantings. So we respectfully request that the front yard setback not exceed the two recent developed dwellings at 18 and 20, which are already more forward than the existing houses on the original houses. Fourthly, we received a report from Urban Forestry regarding the potential injury to some trees on the front and backyards of our property. But this report was with respect to, and I quote, the construction of replacement interlock patio at 16 Castell Lane. We have not seen an urban forestry report with respect to the proposed building development. And lastly, it just seems like the second floor, it's more than just the second floor addition. It's quite a lot higher, because if you look at the plans, the south elevation A8, there's an existing ground floor, then there's a new ground floor, which is already considerably higher. I think it's 4 feet higher. So it's more than a second story. It looks like it's a story and a half. And that's my, those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the last person on the list. I have a Mary Ann Ewan or Gary Peterson. Are you there? Mary Ann Ewan or Gary Peterson, are you there?
Oh, I can't unmute.
Yes, hello. Hello, we can hear you.
How do you unmute?
Yes, hello. Can I get your full name and address?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can I
Hello?
get your full name and
Mary
address?
Ann Ewan. Yes, Mary Ann Ewan, 10 Castell Lane.
Okay, thank
I have two.
If you'd
two
like to give us
notes.
your thoughts on this application.
Yes, I would. I have two notes from two neighbors that are both overseas. If I could read one of them. It is from number 16 Castell Lane. We would like to respectfully submit our objection to variances requested by 16 Castell Lane. We note that there are 4 variances requested. Our focus of concern is the reduced front yard setbacks and the height of the variance proposed. One of the most valued aspects of the first planned community in Canada was and remains its garden city design approach, consistency and modernistic architecture featuring low-level houses with lots of surrounding green to maintain the openness and rural beauty of the ravine location. New towering, higher density houses affect the existing streetscape and privacy. We understand that minor variances may have been utilized for existing homes to accommodate unique renovation limitations. However, they should not be used as bargaining tools for the bigger and better homeowners, developers who want to challenge existing neighbors and the city's building department threshold. And then a couple of other comments related to the forestry. I think there was some forestry study done some years ago. And again, as our neighbor mentioned, we haven't seen that. This is a ravine lot and quite a lot of trees have been cut down recently, affecting the erosion. And there is no mention of that being replanted. Would the homeowner, the new homeowner, be responsible then if there's any damage to the existing neighbor's houses? Those are our questions.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? We'll go back to the agent. Are you there, madam? Ms. O?
We are here.
Yes, you heard the comments from the previous speakers. If you'd like to respond.
Yes, okay. And regarding to the concerns from the neighbors, here is our comment. First of all, about the compass. We verified it with land surveyor this week. We will update the drawings for review later. Thank you for the help. Regarding to the privacy, we also attach great importance to this issue. But the existing house has 3 bay windows on the first floor. in order not to increase the impact on the original privacy, we have done our best. About the sunlight, we understand the concern. However, please note that we have no variances for minimum required north side yard setback and the maximum permitted building height, which both affect sunlight, but we comply with both requirement under the bylaw. About the stability of the top of the bank, in 2018, the geotechnical engineers completed the slope stability study. TRC engineers reviewed the study and confirmed the existing top of the bank as a long-term stable top of the slope line. Also, a 1 meter planted buffer will be provided along the required policy setbacks from the natural feature. Hope this clarified. Thank you very much for your understanding.
Madam, can I ask, does the overall height of the building comply with the new bylaw, 569/2013?
There's no variances for building height.
No, that's the main wall height. Is there one for the building height?
Yeah.
Overall building height?
Yeah, the building height is 9.8 meter. It's under the bylaw.
No, the proposed height of your side exterior main walls is proposed at 8.5 meters, but the overall height of the building, does it comply with the bylaw?
Yes.
Okay, thank
you.
you.
The building height is complete. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question to Mrs. O is variance number 1. The building setback is 3 meters from the hazard line, while the requirement is 10 meters. It is 7 meters short. This is a concern of mine. How do you justify that you can get away with 3 meters, although you are mentioning the TCRA and etc. But how about the soil inspection? Did you have one?
The existing house, the situation that it is 3.6 meter from the top bank. And in 2018, the geotechnical engineer completed the slope stability study. So TRCA reviewed the study and confirmed the existing top of the band is a long-term stable top of the slope line. That's my question. That's my answer.
Madam, what you are suggesting that the chemical engineer had the analysis, that is fine.
Yes.
But my question to you is, did you have any inspection or report from the soils engineer who are expert on this?
Yes.
Engineer. Hang on just a second, folks. Mr. Khan, there's a report from the TRCA that indicates the history that went on here. It indicates that they have no objections to what the applicant's proposing, and that's described in their report of April 5th. It's
okay, sir, thank you.
The history is described in there.
Thank you, sir.
Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Mr. Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do feel that the proposed variances are of a minor nature and fairly modest. I'd like to put forward a motion to accept the application without condition.
Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Someone to second that? Ms. Sankar seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application's been unanimously approved without condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're now on item, I'm going to go back to item number 13, 151 Faywood Boulevard. Do we have the agent there, Mr. Pereira?
Yes, we do. And Daniel, you should be able to speak now. Do you want to try?
Okay, again, 151 Faywood Boulevard, is the agent there? (151 Faywood Boulevard), is the agent there?
Daniel, you are unmuted.
151 Faywood Boulevard, is the agent there? We'll move. I'll go to the next one.
You hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hang on. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, it's Daniel Lewis from 203 Glencedar Road, Toronto, Ontario, M6C.
Okay, thank you,
3G9.
sir.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we're on item number 13, 151 Faywood Boulevard. Sir, before we start, I had gone through this before. There was reports, reports from Urban Forestry. City Planning had a long list of proposed modifications that they wanted, that they said you agreed to. What we're going to have to now is, I guess, go through that. You're going to have to go through and put it on, state on the record what those changes are. So if you could...
yeah, I can do that.
We'll start at the beginning here. We're at, again, 151 Faywood Boulevard. Let's pull up the notice here. Apparently, variance number, can you start, which variances are you proposing to change?
We were going to modify the following variances. Just bear with me 1 second. So modifying variance number 7.
Okay, hang on just a moment. Start from the beginning.
Sorry.
Which variances are you changing?
As per the in the staffing report.
Variance number 4?
Yes.
So what are you proposing? You have to state it. What are you proposing to change?
We're eliminating variance number 4.
Read what it says and then what you're proposing to change it to.
Sorry, just 1 second. I'm having a few issues with the computer. Can you just bear with me for one second? Sorry, it's just loading up. I do apologize. Okay. Just loading now. Sorry, I'm just a bit shaky because I thought I was going to miss this this hearing.
Daniel, can you see the screen and the list of variances on the screen at this time?
Yes, I can. Oh, sorry, I've got it
Can
up
you
here now,
use
if that's okay.
Can you use that list that we have displayed on the screen and note each variance and go through them individually, the ones you want to change or remove? Just quoting the number that it's listed as. And
okay. Understood. Eliminating variance number 4 for the proposed exterior stairs as measured under the zoning bylaw 569/2013. So number 4 is eliminated.
Variance number 4 is eliminated.
Yep. We're going to modify variance number 7 for the proposed front yard landscaping from 50.43% to 56.99% as measured under the zoning bylaw.
Slow down.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay, what's next?
Did you catch number 7, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, we did number 7. That's where you're changing the, from the front yard landscaping from 50.43% to 56.99.
Correct, yes. Eliminate variance number 8
Okay, 8's
for the
deleted.
proposed.
Okay,
Eliminate variance number 9.
9 is deleted.
Yep.
Okay,
Modify variance number 10 for the proposed driveway.
okay, from 13.51 meters to 9.961 meters.
Correct, yes.
Okay, what's next?
Modified
Sir,
variance
sir.
number 12.
Sir, can we just go back? Can you just read that driveway width variance out again for us, for the record?
Yeah, I can, yeah. The driveway width from 13.51 meters to 9.961 meters.
Okay, what's next?
Modified variance number 11 for the proposed lot coverage
Okay.
from 43.14% to 42.89%.
Okay, what's next?
Yep, modified variance number 12 for proposed building height
Okay,
from 10.9 to 10.3. The next is modified variance number 13 for the proposed side exterior main wall height from 8.1 to 7.94.
7.94.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, next.
Yeah, and the final one is modified variance number 17 for the proposed building height from 11.005 meters to 10.405 meters.
Okay, are there any more changes?
No, those were all the changes that we went through with the city planner over the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, we have other people registered to speak, so if you could give the committee a brief presentation on what you see as the merits of your revised proposal.
Yeah, so my name's Daniel Lewis, and I'm the agent representing the owners at property located at 151 Faywood Boulevard. I'd like to firstly start off by saying the owners pursued neighborhood outreach and received substantial letters of support, most importantly from their immediate adjacent neighbors, 149 Faywood, 153 Faywood to the north, as well as 2 neighbors to the east at the rear of the lot at 4 and 6 Josephine Road. The owners and I have worked extensively with the city planning staff to address all their concerns from the initial zoning application. Variances were eliminated and modified as we've just gone through in that list. And the majority of the minor variances that still remain are due to, in fact, to the irregularity of the lot, as well as the existing setbacks that are existing non-conforming at the moment. In addition, we worked extensively with the planner to maintain the tree at the front of the lot. So what we did was we maintained the existing driveway, which then addressed some of transportation's comments, and worked with them just to make sure that we kept the tree and kept the existing driveway and curb cut. That then triggered some of the variance widths for the driveway because of the existing curb cut and the proposed new garage location. I would like to just finish off by saying the variances that we are requesting do not set any new precedents in the neighborhood. The owners and I have significantly prepared for this hearing with a willingness to address city planning concerns, as well as in gathering support for this proposal from the local community. I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Daniel Lewis. Are you there? Oh, I'm sorry. Next person on the list, Olga Moros, M-O-R-O-S, or Ernesto Castro. Olga Moros or Ernesto Castro.
Okay, good.
Yes, hello.
Yes,
We
can I get
are,
Can I get your full name and address, please?
yes, this is Olga Moros, 148 Faywood Boulevard, Toronto.
So, can I call you back?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Just one person speaks, please. So, Ms. Moros, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
The main reason for me to request participation in the meeting was just to be aware of the developments in the immediate neighborhood. I don't have any objections to especially revised list of variances, minor variances. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, I'll go back to Mr. Lewis. Are you there?
Hi there.
Yes, you heard the comments from Ms. Morris. If there's anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, I'm just of the opinion that the proposed development is reflective of the development in the surrounding area and results in a building mass that does respect and reinforce the prevailing physical characteristics of this neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application? I'm not going to reread the changes because that's already been read into the record, so there's no need to go through them again. If I could get a motion on this revised application, please. Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The modification and elimination has already been stated. So I'm just reading or taking the staff recommendation into consideration. Their recommendations are 1 and 2. So I'm reading number 1. The proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawings submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, dated March 31st, 2022, and attachment number 1 to this report. And number 2, the proposed driveway be developed with renewable pavers. I am moving this application be approved with the forestry conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Sir, your revised application has been unanimously approved, subject to city planning conditions.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your patience today. Sorry about that earlier. Thank you.
We're now on item number 19. Pardon me, item number 18, 353 Rainey Avenue. I have...
That is deferred already, Mr. Chair.
Item number 18, we haven't done, I believe.
It's deferred.
Oh, hang on. Yes, thank you, Mr. Khan. Yeah, you're right. Item number 18 was deferred. Item number 19, thank you. 88 Park Home Avenue. I have 3 people registered to speak. One person registered to speak. That is the owner, Linda Karageorgios. Are you there?
I'm here. Thank you.
Yes, hello. Could I get your full name and address, please, madam?
Hi, my name is Linda Karageorgios. I live at 88 Park Home Avenue, North York, for the last 12 years.
Okay, thank you, madam. I just wanted to ask, there's a report on file with your applications dated 6th of April from City Planning, and they're recommending that your application be refused. And what I'm going to ask is, would you like to defer this application so that you can discuss it further with City Planning, or would you like to proceed today?
I'm requesting that it be deferred because in discussion with city staff, we have figured out that there's a mistake on there's some mistake with the drawings and the numbers are off. So we tried very hard to figure it out before the end of the day yesterday, and we could not figure out what the issue.
So that makes sense.
So I'd like to defer.
So
yeah, there's one thing. I am asking that it be deferred, but also I want to make sure that the variance request number 3, the required minimum setback be removed? Because that was not in our application. Somehow it got in the report. I don't know how.
Okay, madam, we can't remove that. If you're deferring the application, that means you have to take it back, review it with city planning, submit, make your changes, submit those, your revised drawings to city building, and then they'll determine what your variances are. But we can't.
I see.
Because you're deferring
Okay,
the
that's
application,
fine.
we can't make any decision
see.
on the application.
Okay,
Okay?
that's fine. Yes,
We'll go back.
thank you.
Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on the deferral, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I'll motion to defer this application sine die and give the applicant a chance to correct any errors within the application.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that motion? Someone to second? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Madam, your application's been deferred to the next available meeting so that you can have the opportunity to discuss your application with city planning and to make the necessary changes to your application. Good luck, madam.
Thank you, and good afternoon.
Thank you. Item number 20. Item number 2201 Northwood Drive. I have one person registered to speak. That's a Paul Guest. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, thank you, sir. You have one variance before us for lot coverage. I note there's a report from city planning dated the 6th of April of this year. They have no objections to your application. They recommend developing the proposal substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted to the Committee of Adjustment attached as Attachment 1 to this report, and that the sides of the proposed covered accessory structure remain open and unenclosed. Have you had the opportunity to review that report, sir?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I'm in agreement with it.
Okay, thank you. It's pretty clear what you're asking for, sir. Is there anything you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material that we have before us this afternoon?
No, I think it's fairly simple. It's just, we want to put an open lounge and a small storage area within the accessory structure. So I don't have really too much to add to that.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, this is fairly minor. I'll motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Khan seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Sir, your application's been unanimously approved without conditions, subject to city planning condition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. We're now on item number 21, 582 Broadway Avenue. I have two people registered to speak. One is Glenn Rubinoff. He's the agent. Are you there, Mr. Rubinoff?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon.
Mr. Rubinoff, there's the only report on file with your application is a city planning report dated the 7th of April, and they're recommending reducing variance number 4 regarding the lot coverage from 47% to 40% or less. Yes. And I just wanted to ask, were you proposing to do that, or would you like to defer your application to discuss it further with planning?
If I might speak on it, we've had discussions with planning staff.
Okay. You know what, Mr. Rubinoff, you can address that in your presentation because we have one person registered to speak. So if you'd like to give us a brief presentation and include that in your discussion.
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, this is a proposed rear addition to an existing semi-detached dwelling. The rear addition has variances related to it for density, coverage, and side yard and a rear canopy in the back. And we spoke with planning several times. The concern planning had was the amount of coverage. They were not concerned with anything else. And the concern they had for coverage was they were looking at the area and looking at then coverage in the area, and they asked us to reduce it. So we have a bit of a hand behind tied behind our back in that there's an existing carport and an existing frame shed in the backyard. So if you look at the site plan, there's an existing carport which they went to committee for in 2016. They eliminated an existing garage and replaced it with a carport. So a carport being not an enclosed garage, but rather a roof and supports for it. So effectively, it's open to the environment surrounding it. The existing frame shed that they have there, I spoke with my clients and they've agreed to eliminate that in order to bring our coverage down, because the house itself, with the proposed addition, comes out to 34.5%, which is under the 35% coverage for the building itself. So really what we're dealing with is a shed and a carport, which is what the issue is, but they're existing. So my clients have agreed to eliminate the shed in the backyard. That brings the number down to 42.7% from the 47% that was there.
Okay.
And that is what we...
Mr. Rubinoff, Mr. Rubinoff, are you proposing to make a change to your application?
Yes, this is what I...
Okay. Can you tell the committee up front then what that change is? Sure.
So for variance number 4, where the maximum permitted lot coverage is 35% of the lot area, the proposed lot coverage is, we're proposing is 42.7%.
So on variance number 4, the proposed lot coverage is 47% of the lot area, and you're proposing to decrease that to 42%?
42.7%.
42.7%.
Which is the elimination.
Okay.
Yes, the elimination of the shed, the existing shed, brings it down to that. We can't cut back on the carport that's already built, and the house itself is compliant with regards to the proposed addition is under the 35%. So it's really a situation that we have, and I do want to point out the difference between a carport and a garage. The concerns related to, an enclosed garage are very different than they are for a carport. A carport's open. It's not the same kind of impact on the environment where lot coverage can cover a house. It can cover enclosed space, and quite often the impact is felt a lot more by buildings. In this particular case, there's an existing existing carport they'd like to keep. To remove the shed brings the number down to 42.7%. And that's simply the approach we wanted to bring forth to the committee, that we're really not trying to, impact the neighborhood. The building itself, the main building and the addition are within that 35%. It's really just the existing carport which is driving it up to that 42.7, and they are willing to remove the rear shed in the backyard. And I felt that would be a reasonable way of increasing the landscape open space in the backyard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rubinoff. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rubinoff.
Yes.
Kit information that we have, the staff was suggesting that probably you agreed or they suggested variance number 4, lot coverage to be 40%, and now you are raising to 42.7. Which one is the correct one?
So staff has recommended that based on the area to bring it down to 40%. We reduced it from 47 to 42.7 because we didn't want to start to demolish the existing carport in the backyard. Because if there was no carport or no shed, we wouldn't even be at committee for coverage. The house itself is compliant. It's really the existing carport that drives it up to that 42.7.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rubinoff. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? Being none, I'll go to the next person on the list. I have a Kathy Dumansky. Are you there? Kathy Dumansky, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, madam. Can I get your full name and address, please?
Yes, Kathy Dumansky, and I am the new purchaser of 580 Broadway, which is the attached semi to 580 Broadway, currently residing at 301 Dawlish.
Okay, if you'd like to give us your thoughts on this application.
Sure. So thanks for the opportunity to speak. This is obviously what's just been presented is interesting new information. I was concerned with the similar to the staff report and the Leaside Residents Association, concerned with the maximum FSI, which is 0.69 versus 6, and the maximum lot coverage proposed at 47, now scaled back to 42. Because the proposed addition is larger than the existing home, and cumulatively that was not really a minor variance. Now that it's down to 42, I think this is better, and wanted to say that I look forward to working with the new neighbors on whatever gets approved, because there's a adjoining wall that I think right now is proposed to be siding, and I'd like to see the details of how siding plus siding works together, because I think it's really important to get something that's not going to leak. And also the two roof lines, where mine is lower, there's a flat roof higher. And again, I think they need to sustainably connect together so that we don't get water sitting and again, that potential for leaking. So that's what I wanted to bring forward. Again, wanted to thank the committee for the opportunity to speak and for your consideration on how these properties work together.
Okay, thank you very much, madam. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, Mr. Rubinoff, you heard the comments from Ms. Dumansky. If you'd like to reply.
Yes, thank you very much. And I appreciate Ms. Dumansky speaking up at this time. Of course, my clients are very concerned to be good neighbors with you and with regards to all the construction details, or they're more than happy to sit down and go through. Our approach was very much from the start to make sure that there was no impact on your house, drainage being away from your house and such. So all those features would be dealt with during their construction phase, but prior to that, we would meet and go over those details. So certainly, I do appreciate and an opportunity to sit down with you. My clients would be more than happy to do that. With regards to bringing the lot coverage down, as I was stating earlier, the house itself with the addition still complies with the building length and with the lot coverage on its own. It's the additional coverage from the existing carport, which brings it up to the 42.7%. So, but certainly I appreciate the comments expressed, and I feel like we will be able to work together.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rubinoff. I just wanted to bring a quick point to your attention. I noticed when I was out that your client appears to have a fence that's located in the municipal road allowance, the Laird Drive road allowance. I just suggest that your client either remove it or get it legalized through transportation services just for their own protection. They should.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rubinoff, how old is the carport?
So they went to the committee and demolished the garage and built a new carport in 2016. So it's about 4 years. Well, I don't even know what year it is. I guess about 6 years old. So
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this revised application? Please note that variance number 4 has been revised to read the proposed lot coverage is 47% of the lot area. That has been reduced to 42.7% of the lot area. So if we could get a motion on the revised application, please. Ms. Sankar?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. You know, the explanations provided by the applicant here today does sit well with me. I understand now why the lot coverage has been reduced to 42.7%, which includes, you know, the carport portion and the willingness to work with the neighbors on the rest of this application. So I'll put forward a motion to approve this application with that change to variance number 4 being reduced to 42.7%. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rubinov, your revised application's been unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you. And we will reach out to the neighbor. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Item number 22, 41 Snyder Avenue. I have one person registered to speak. That's Ida Evangelista. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. Ida Evangelista on behalf of the owners of 41 Snyder.
Okay, thank you, madam. I just going through your file, I note that there are no staff comments or conditions attached to this application. I just wanted to ask, pretty clear what you're asking for. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the committee that isn't contained in the material we have before us this afternoon?
The one thing that I would like to add, is that because this house, the basement is closest to the established grade, the basement is included in the FSI, but with the first floor, second floor, the FSI is 0.84. So, and that's what triggers variances because it is being considered, the basement is being considered. That also triggers variance number 7, stating where the platform's above the second story. So that is the reasoning for that. However, the houses, as I mentioned, basements included, and the house itself, first and second, is 0.84.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the committee have any questions of the speaker? There being none, could I, Mr. Khan?
Sir, I have one question to ask Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Your variance number 6, FSI is too high. That is one concern. And also variance number 2, the entrance of your garage is low than the center line of the entrance. But these are two very serious things which I'm considering, and kindly give me an answer that I can be convinced.
Yes, absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chair, Member Khan. Variance number 6, where we have a FSI of 1.16. As I previously mentioned, the zoning examiner has also included the basement in this FSI calculation. Because the basement is closest to the established grade, it is closer to the established grade than the entry. So that's why it is included, and that's why our FSI is so high. However, if we remove the basement calculation, we have an FSI of 0.84. And in this area, it is 0.8. And I would like to add, very, very importantly, is that this is an addition alteration to the existing home. So the home itself, the foundation, the walls remain. We are just adding a second floor, and we're adding a portion at the rear. So that's why the basement is included, because it is an existing situation. However, as I mentioned, it's 0.84. And variance number 2, yes, when you read that variance, so this is what's happened. There was a water key, or it's still there. There is a water key at the front corner of it's the southwest corner of the property. okay, at the front. So the examiner has taken that elevation to that. However, the elevation in front of the garage is 100.75. Therefore, you know, from the road to the garage is, if you're standing in front of the garage, because again, it is existing, we are working with the existing grading and it works now. So if you stand in front of the, on the driveway and you drop that ball's going to roll to the street.
Madam, I appreciate variance number 2. It's a 10 inches of difference between the entrance and the garage. Now, how much is the distance between the entrance and the garage? How much is the length?
Okay, so through you, Mr. Chair, Member Khan, that 101.75 is taken right at the front west southerly corner, and the driveway is approximately 20 feet, 1.5 inches long.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Evangelista.
You're welcome.
Does the committee have any further questions of the speaker? There being none, could I get a motion on this application, please? Ms. Sankar?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I mean, I've accepted the explanations provided by Ms. Evangelista, and I believe that it does meet the 4 tests. And for that reason, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you, Ms. Sankar. Someone to second that? Mr. Hunt seconds. All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Ms. Evangelista, your application is unanimously approved without condition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned till 2 p.m. Thank you very much.